Alright, let's have another one. Oh, one. What's the is that the main? Okay, yep. Julius.
Stand up if you like getting new information through self-discovery.
You go out. So can I ask the question, louder, so we can hear you.
How do you define self-discovery?
Meditation.
Meditation?
And just listen.
I didn't expect that, but I appreciate that.
Listen, meditation and also self-analyzing, which is meditation as well.
Okay.
Meditation, but not like sitting down, right?
But that's
That's just a way of meditation.
That's your,
Okay.
Because I don't do that.
that's your view of meditation. Like, you can sit down with your eyes open and meditate. And you just think about,
Reflection.
self-analyzation.
Yeah. Reflection. But hey, this is why this is good though. Here's what you're going to learn this activity is going to teach us. Just because you do it, or you're aware of it, or it's your habit, or your characteristic, everyone does not play the same. And that's what this is highlighting for you, is that you have to know yourself and you have to recognize there's different ways people understand dependability. There's different ways people communicate, right? And so we're going to become aware of all those things because that goes into being a team player. We can't panic every time someone does something different from us. At the same time, that doesn't mean it's better or worse. Like, oh, what I do is great or what they do is better than me. It's understanding that differences come with people and not being moved by that when it shows up. All right, and so the first question is important for first impressions. Second question is important because when you go to the job, you have to be having awareness of how you learn new information. There's going to be things you don't know. So is it through an opportunity to reflect? Is it through other people observing you? Is it through reading a manual on the first day of the job? You want to know how you learn because you're always going to be asked to do that, and you always want to know that. Third question, how do you usually network with new people? So let's have one person answer that. So stand up if what?
Workshop and conferences.
Everybody should be standing up, we just at the workshop. You're at a workshop.
Alright, let's see, what's another way we can network with new people?
Stand up if you, I say you network with people by giving them a compliment.
Alright, okay. Now let's do one on the back. So answer, So I feel most confident speaking up on a team when? Stand up.
So I'll say stand up?
Yeah.
Stand up if you feel more confident speaking up in a group when other people don't have a voice.
Wait, what? Can you repeat that?
Stand up.
Remember, we're also practicing our confidence.
Is it?
No, we said four, Mike.
Yes,
stand,
he's on number 4. We're on number 4 now. Okay.
so stand up if you feel most confident speaking up when somebody doesn't have a voice.
So I think if I'm understanding what you're saying, Stefan, is you feel most confident speaking up on behalf of other people? Okay. So stand up if you feel most confident speaking up on behalf of other people if you feel like they don't have a voice.
Don't put it as a leg up because I get shy sometimes and it's just like physically can't.
Alright, take a seat. Take a seat, okay. Yeah, who else would like to share? Yes. Oh, yeah, good. And then
Stand up when you feel most confident, speak up on the team when you feel everyone's opinion is valued.
Alright, that's good.
Stand up with the most confident speakers on the team when they share their ideas.
That's right, we do more sharing.
That's what I'm saying.
Alright, let's take a seat. Oh, okay.
Stand up if you feel most confident speaking up on the team when there is consensus.
Yeah, but I'm trying to win.
Okay, that's good. Alright, yes?
No, I was just.
Oh, yes. For this next one, we will raise our hand. Now, that's an interesting one. So here's the thing. Google did a study on what makes a strong team. The first thing that people need on a team is the ability to take a risk interpersonally, to disagree, to come up with an idea, to have a space to speak up. So this is actually an important question to ask yourself, because what happens if you don't feel comfortable speaking up, if you don't feel like there's safety or psychological safety in your team, you're not gonna do it. Other people, and if you don't speak up, people don't know your perspective. They're not gonna include you as they make decisions. So we do wanna think about, okay, what do I need in a team environment so that I speak up and share? When I walk into a conference room on the first day, and they're like, hey, Enzam, what do you think of this new initiative? What do you, You don't like it. At the same time, they're asking you to speak up, so you have to think, well, how do I prepare myself for those situations? When they send you an email and they're like, hey, so what did you think about this? How are you going to respond, right? Do you say, hey, I have some ideas, I'll share with you later? If you like to build consensus, do you go before the meeting and think about, hey, what do you think of this idea? So you feel confident in sharing it? Julian, did you want to say something?
Yes, like, don't take this like the wrong way, but like I feel confident almost in everything that I do now, like where I'm at now, but I'm saying like, how would I feel most confident speaking up on a team when there's preconceived notions about an individual? So like, you already know, like, you know beforehand that people will see you a certain way. You're standing up in front of them trying to get them to understand your point.
Yes. So you're talking about how do you influence or build buy-in around people who already have their idea of who you are?
Yeah, how do you break that down?
So, this is a little bit of psychology. People are always going to have, as we all have experience, right? So the first thing is the language. People don't disagree with you. They disagree with your idea, your approach, your perspective. And that's important because if you feel like someone disagrees with you at work or like what you're going to say is, soon it turns to, I don't like that person, right? That, just the fact that you're like, they disagree with me, we are more than one idea, we're more than one suggestion, we're more than one anything. So we have to give ourselves the language to step away from that and say, okay, you disagree with my idea. Other than that, we're gonna be like, oh, we just disagree with each other, right? I think the other thing you want to keep in mind is people, it depends on how willing you are to cultivate a relationship with someone. Meaning, if you and that person have a dynamic where you're like, well, let's go talk about this later. Or if it's somebody, because people who we're not familiar with, they're going to hold tighter to the limited interactions they have with us or what other people tell them about us. So I recommend if you're ever trying to influence or share consensus with a large group and you feel like there's lots of pushback, really use that as an opportunity to go to the people individually so you can gain an awareness and a familiarity with their perspective. Because the other thing is, if we feel like we're pushing against what people don't want, same like here, right? If you're somebody who likes to learn through reading and someone else, and you like to learn through self-discovery, if you try to push self-discovery on someone who likes to learn through reading, they're not going to hear you. But if you say, okay, you like to learn through reading, can I introduce you to a book about self-discovery, then maybe you could bring them to your side. So it's going to take some creative thinking. So moral of the story is, anytime you're in front of a large group, you feel like people don't disagree with you, they disagree with your idea, your approach, your perspective, right? What you share. You got to take it a step away from making it personal so you can still work with them. The second thing you want to be aware of is, if it's a large group, because sometimes factions go off, think about, okay, who is influencing the people in the group? How do I sit down and speak with those people? And that way I can build some awareness and consensus about where the pushback is. Is that helpful?
And so a follow-up question to that. Imagine you get to the point where you do speak to that individual and there's still that breakdown in conversation where you just can't seem to understand one another.
Yeah.
Is it best to step away from each other? Because, yeah, you can preserve the professional relationship, but I don't think every professional relationship needs to extend to a personal relationship with somebody. I just personally feel that. But how do you get to a point where you can communicate with somebody when you already realize that you've publicly spoken to them and you've privately spoken to them? It's just...
Yeah, that's where you and that person are aware. Everybody has various types of relationships with their colleagues. They're your colleagues, right? They're not, certainly they all should not. We should not think that all of our colleagues extend into, right? There's interpersonal relationships and there's intimate relationships. And if an interpersonal relationship at work goes into an interrelationship, then that's life, that happens sometimes. At the same time, you want to be aware that interpersonal relationships call for a different dynamic. You don't have to, now a working relationship means you have to be cordial with people, right? You can't go to work and be like, oh man, I really don't like you. Because there's no benefit in that, right? There's no value in making that decision every day. So you do want to be aware, if you have spoken to someone and you all can't get on the same page, then it's a working relationship. When you have to work together, you all are clear, you respect me, I respect you. We communicate in this way with our integrity, and then you go on about your business. So as long as you all are clear, right? If there's somebody you really don't get along with, then it's clear. Okay, I'm gonna communicate with you via email. We're gonna write this. If you need a third person sitting there, hey, let's just have someone here recording so we're on the same page. Just be aware, think of techniques you can have so that it's neutral and it's not just you going back and forth with the other person. How can you record what's been shared? All right, so this is a good one, I think, for actually interpersonal and our close relationships. How do we recognize a dependable person? So I recognize what's a behavior. So I recognize a dependable person as someone who what? So we said honest. I recognize a dependable person as someone who's honest. So raise your hand if that's what you agree with that. Okay. All right. What's another one?
I recognize a dependable person as someone who steps up. I don't believe in people sitting back and not doing anything. So I recognize a dependable person as somebody who steps up and she's not afraid to step into the front lines.
Okay. So raise your hand if you recognize a dependable person as someone who steps up. Okay. Huh?
Good listener.
Okay, so Enzo said a good listener. Do you recognize a dependable person as a good listener? Okay. I think you had your hand up, Julie.
No, I don't agree with that.
Oh yes. Sonia.
I don't agree with that.
Okay. Well, so this is the good thing about dependability. We all recognize it different, right? And that's why it's important when you get on the team. Some people, you send an email, maybe this happened to you. Some people, you send an email and they're like, I got it. Why are you sending me 3, 4, 5 emails? I got it. Maybe they don't respond. Maybe they don't. Exactly. At the same time, some people, in their mind, they're like, well, you sent it, you should have known I got it. If that happens, then you have to say, listen, in order for me to understand or to recognize that you got it, I need a response from you. So it is important for us. Some people don't require honesty. Some people are just like, well, if you get it done, however you do it,
Just get it done.
just get it done, right? Have you heard something? Just get it done, however you do it, where you gotta get it from. So some people, they still get it done, right? But maybe not end it with the standard or integrity that you have. And that's why I'm saying it's not wrong, and still it's important for us to recognize that we have, the way we understand how teams should function, we have to get on the same page about that. So anytime you're working in any team project, you want to be clear, okay, how are we going to work together? How are we going to make sure that when people branch off, they're not talking about how, oh man, this is going to fall apart. It's not. How are we honest in front of each other? And how do we communicate each other more pieces? When I am uncertain about what to do, I
ask questions.
Who asks questions?
I seek help.
Who asks questions and seek help? What are other ways we're uncertain?
Ask an expert.
I ask an expert.
Talk to my mom.
Talk to my mom.
I observe.
You observe. Mm-hmm.
It's like rules.
You list your goals. All right. But you list your goals, Eva? When you're uncertain about what to do?
Yeah. So I try to, what do I need to get out of it? So what's the outcome? And I try to list that and how to get there.
So you make a plan.
Yeah.
Okay. So as we see, one of the things that really working in groups that it highlights is how many different ways there are to approach things and how we want to be aware that other people, not wrong, have a different approach than we, and we want to get on the same page about it. All right. Let's skip to the last one. I know my efforts and projects are valuable because how do we know when we're appreciated? Because this is coming up a lot at work, the nature of work today. People not feeling appreciated. Yes, that's it.
Can I give an example instead of like?
Mm-hmm.
So when I was taking a very hard class that belongs to my major, I noticed that most of the students in my class were doing really bad. So when I brought the opportunity to a mentor, I told them, why don't you have tutoring for this class? And as soon as the tutoring started, the students' grades were going up.
Mm-hmm.
Now no one said thank you, but because I noticed that the students' grades were going up, my work was valued and appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
So by noticing the outcome of whatever I presented, I see that as.
So who looks to the outcome to say, okay, my work's valuable? Who looks to the culture or the what's the word? Excuse me, thank you. Who looks to like the vibe of the team to see if they're like the cohesiveness of the team to see if their work is doing well? Okay. What else do we have? Yes. Someone's gonna share.
Yeah, I said my life is a dollar for value because I took the time to do it. think time is the most valuable thing that we have in this world, and I think people don't appreciate the time that's put into the things versus the outcome. Goal oriented, and that's fine, but I think that's where we lose the intangible aspect of actually the process of getting it done. Because when we reflect on the things that we do, it's not only just the outcome, it's how far I was when I started to where I'm at now.
It's not progress.
Things in my life is not to get a little dash in the process.
So you're saying for you, one of the things that's important is the recognition of the time you put in, even before you look at the results, the effort, the time.
Because it's not, I mean, there are things that I will be able to do in my lifetime and there are things that I will not be able to do, and I have to be okay with that as a person, as a human being. But the fact that I get the chance to interact with people and things that I do may be able to spark somebody to do something that I may not have been able to do in my own capacity. So it's about thinking about yourself outside of yourself and not having to interact. So I kind of try to understand the process of getting it. But I know a lot of people are goal oriented, but that's what we're talking about, is to get the results. Results matter. But in between that, right, it's important that that's how you build your character. That's what it's about, the confidence, the process.
The process.
Yeah.
And to recognize when you get in teams that that's important for you, that the effort, the time that you're putting in is valued. Because like you said, you're going to be bored to people who are like, it doesn't matter, we didn't do what we were supposed to do. And that we understand that people still acknowledge, man, people put effort and time.
I just don't want to just have to be lost in the shuffle.
I hear you. I definitely hear you. All right, so I want to take a moment. We finished this activity. Let's reflect for a little bit. What did you notice? The little reflection questions. When you look at those team player skills, when you go back and you say, oh, commitment, attitude, active listening, empathy, accountability, initiative, coachable, adaptable, which one most stood out in the activity for you? Which one did you apply? Which one did you feel was relevant for you? And how do you think that's going to show up for you as a professional? And how are you using that skill now on campus? So maybe you felt like, you know what, I had a good attitude throughout this activity. The way I use that on campus is this way. At work, my attitude will be viewed as this, or attitude is important at work like this. Maybe you felt like, you know what, I really committed and did everything to answer each question. So, I want everyone else to do the reflection. So answer the following questions. Does everyone see those 3 reflection questions?
Yes.
Yes.
And the reflection question answers are based on that team player grid up front. So let's take a couple minutes to reflect and then we'll get to our final activity.
This is the space for like the numbers. Do you put the actual response that was suppressed or just?
Oh, we're not there yet. Yeah, that. We're going to get there. That's next. Got our communication skills with our first impression. We understand that what we need in a team and how that also differs from what other people may need in a team. And everything these days is teamwork, whether it's with one person or a large group of people. Because the most important thing when we get to the workplace or with professionals is they want to know how you're going to use things. So what we think is important, at the same time we want to recognize our thoughts, guide our actions, and so we want to know how things apply, how they're relevant. And these are great vocabulary words to use in interviews. Because people will want to know what type of team player you are. Julia, you ready?
Yes.
America, you ready?
No.
You are America, yes. What's your name again? A little bit louder? Fui. Fui. Nice. You all have beautiful names, so you gotta speak up and say them clearly. Kilian, you ready? Are you left? Nice. Are you creative? No? I'm sure you are. You still will tell us. Anyone else left-handed in here? Nice. Nothing wrong with staying alone, right? As long as you own it.
Just training yourself to be
You
like.
want to be left-handed?
Ambidextrous.
You know one way you can train yourself? They say you open up new neurological pathways if you brush your teeth with your left hand. You do?
Yes.
It would probably, it's gonna take definitely longer, but just the act of doing something differently, trying to brush your teeth with your left hand.
That's what I said.
That's I see what you're doing. With the meditation, Tom wants to meditate after this. He's gonna learn, don't worry. It is important to be reflective. I know what you mean when you say that. All right, everybody ready? Everybody ready? Okay, everybody ready. Okay, so everybody stand up. We're gonna do one, put these papers down in your seat. Let's do one team thing as we transition. Okay, everybody stand up. Okay, you have 60 seconds to line up in order of the age that you got your driver's license. Now, if you don't have your driver's license, because this is New York City and some people don't, then you have to make sure that you either end up at the beginning or the end of the line. Now, the way this works is you cannot talk. So 60 seconds to line up in order of the age that you got your driver's license. You can communicate, but you cannot talk. All right? So ready?
So you got your driver's license?
The age that you got your driver's license. If you don't, then you have that's the task, right? To communicate without communicating. The age right. If you don't, then you want to make sure you're either at the beginning or the end of the line. Okay, ready? Go.
Is this the birthday thing?
Birthday? Remember, no talking. We'll also tell you something about your team style. Seconds. Seconds. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's see how we did.
18.
24.
30.
So, what about Nolani?
I thought we started.
So, it looks like we were in order. So maybe we got here. What about in the back? No?
We're supposed to be over there.
Well, if you look the opposite,
We're on the aisle then.
The opposite is what?
We're on both
I think Abdul, you said 19, right? Oh, Talia, you said 19.
Yeah.
So, you drive? She doesn't
Yes,
drive.
yes.
So we need to
Oh, it's Raven. I apologize, Raven. Okay. Was anything highlighted for you? Did you learn anything about anybody? Your sign language?
yo, that guy was I was like, nah,
All right. You ready for another one? All right, this is going to require a little more trust because last name, your eyes are closed though. So alphabetical order, last name. Take your time. We'll give you a minute and 20 seconds. Eyes are closed. You can talk. Eyes are closed. You can do it. Last name.
I need the bees, yo.
Last name.
A, go to the front as the last thing. Touch each other in the proper way. So B, anyone that goes with B, go behind C. B,
Before BE coming from
Right here.
Alright, and everybody open your eyes. Okay, let's see how we did. You don't know what I think.
And then R, U, V.
Oh my God, who are you?
So R, S, T.
What's yours? What's yours? Pick up your eyes. I'm good. I mean, almost. Oh, I think you were almost. I think you did it. This is the last activity we're going to do. Alright, so that was a nice transition. Now we're going from collaboration to our creative and critical thinking skills. Does everyone see critical and creative thinking? Yeah. Alright, so what you're going to do, I'm going to give you exactly a minute. Everyone look, does everyone see professional, personal? You see choices, chances? The bold, so there's 5. There's 5 bold sequences. Do you see them? I want you to take 1 minute and fill in the third word of each of those sequences. So there's 5. Professional, personal, choices, chances, Mexico, Morocco, education, economics, sugar, concrete. Your task is to write the third word. That's it.
What is the third?
Whatever word, however you'd like to complete that sentence. Excuse me, that sequence. Another 30 seconds. Andre, you ready? You're lost? So you do this one? Nope. Oh, that's a great question. So you don't have to use the words at the top. That's not it. It's just professional, personal. Let's say you think of politics, right? Let's say choices, chances, changes. That's what it doesn't. So it's whatever third word you think of.
Why has to
It's whatever third word you think of. This is about your personal logic and reasoning. However you complete that sequence. Do you all need 30 more seconds or you good? All right, take another 30 seconds. Is it all of them? Up, there's one after Morocco. So there's sugar, concrete. Yep, we're going to do all 5. Add a third word for all 5. And don't overthink it, just whatever that third word that comes to your mind is. Kilian, you ready? Yep.
Fine, ready? Is that ready?
Alright, we're ready?
You ready on that?
Okay, this is how this works. So, you're gonna go around, you're gonna talk to different people, you need to talk to at least 6 people for each one. This is no more than 6 though, so it'll go like this. I'll go with the Kuli and I say, professional, personal, what did you get?
Personal, probably.
And so, okay, you feel it right now, they're gonna need your shoes. So, Julian, I'll go with you. Professional, personal, what'd you put? Productivity. So if I had productivity, then I would say, oh, how many people did I find with a similar answer? I would put a cross through 1. If I had productivity. Now let's say I had professional, personal, let's say I had people. Then I would say, oh, I write productivity under surprising answers. Then I go to my next person. I say, Jacqueline, what'd you get? Professional, personal, honesty. Okay, I have people, you write people, because that's surprising. I write honesty under surprise answer. Number 2, then I go to the next person, right? You're gonna go around, and if someone has an answer different from you, you report a surprising answer. If someone has the same answer as you, then you cross out similar answer, okay? All right, so everybody up. Talk to different people. You said actually check your
professional
answers,
again?
6 per each.
Proper grammar?
That's,
Oh, okay, that's how I put this.
I put public.
And relationship?
For chances, choices, guys. I put forgiveness. For every chance and choice, for every choice you make, for every chance you give,
What did you get for choices?
to change.
I put confidence.
I put forgiveness.
Changes.
Okay, for the second one, ends up with opportunity.
What do you know for the second one? First, chances.
My brother. Personal. I got relationships. Hey, let me do this one. Hey, ma'am. There you go. I said ma'am, not ma'am. Where is your cake? The same place my cake is at the store. It's President Cake. Where is my cake? Hey, no, where is my cake? Can you want some? Where is money? I didn't get, I was going to bring it up. What is it? I was going to let's see who wants it. Hey. Hey. Mom. Hey. Malibu? Who put Malibu? Oh. Here we go. I put Malibu.
All right, take another 3 minutes.
You're supposed to touch the gun.
I have,
What about your position? Somebody's opportunity.
so when you get that, you have to just make a note, like 2 people back.
I never did that.
Yeah, I just realized that now, someone kept saying 2 minutes. Oh, I was trying to.